Hey, what's up everyone, and welcome you once again to one of my tutorials. In this session, I will be talking about how you can stream all currencies of Binance through Python to your MSSQL database at the same time. This means, in this video, you will also find out how you can connect to the MSSQL server through Python. I selected the MSSQL server because we already have a few examples with the simplest one to start with, the SQLite database. And now is the time to move on and try out something new, a database server that allows us to create more complex apps. To evaluate the data, we will use the well-established and, by my opinion, really intuitive Management Studio from Microsoft. Let's start. In the docs of Binance, I found this link here. I described this in one of my previous videos already. Using this link here, you can download all the currencies available on Binance at once. That's what I tried out here. Using this link here, I downloaded all the currencies which are available on Binance. And now when I Ctrl+C and Ctrl+V those here into my console, you can see there is 2089 of those. All these are currencies available on Binance currently, and you can stream all those into your own database and you can observe the prices or the price changes. For this purpose, I created a new project folder, the Python Binance Stream All Currencies into MSSQL DB, and I'm going to create, I think, two files here only. So the first one will be a cron job file. Cron jobs are repetitive events which are scheduled to run, for example, every 3 seconds, every 5 seconds, every 1 hour, every 1 day or so. And this one that I will create will be running every 3 seconds. It will be downloading the currencies and will be uploading them into your own MSSQL database. For this purpose, we will upload all the currencies into an MSSQL database, and it will be the database which we installed in one of my previous videos. I will come to that later. I will first create the files and then we will create together the database, the table. We will create a user and we will be saving data and retrieving data together. Let's start. I created this cron Python file here. This cron Python file will have start and it will use the keyword schedule to schedule an event. For this I will import the schedule. You will get schedule by installing it through pip install schedule. I have mine, I don't need to install anything, but if you follow this and install it this way, then it will be available for you. So here I will use it now. I will schedule this event for every 3 seconds and it will do job. And the job will be nothing else than another method called simply job. And this method will do nothing else but to retrieve all Binance currencies. And let's say this is going to be a method and it will be called this way. Let's call it as retrieve all Binance currencies. Quite a long method name. So now let's copy paste it and let's truly create a method retrieve all Binance currencies. And here in this method, let's use urllib to request data from a URL, which will be exactly this one. So I will copy paste it here now. So this is what we are going to request as URL using the so-called urllib, which we first need to import. We also need to import JSON. What you can do in this moment is to install urllib if it is not available on your system yet. You can do this using pip as well. I will hit enter. I have it available, but so here I have a very interesting error. I think I will upgrade my pip and maybe the error gets resolved, and I'll try to install urllib once again. Alright, I will try to install it this way. Okay, so that's the way how you can install urllib tree, and now we have it. As this is done, let's continue. Let's use now urllib and let's request URL open, and in the URL open we will have this string here as the URL. And now let's go to the next line and let's assign the result to the so-called data, and let's get the data using JSON loads URL read decode. And now what we need to do is to save all the data, but for this we need some method to save all the data, and the method should be available somewhere. Let's create another file, a database file called simply db python, and this db python will have a method save all data and will take exactly one argument, and that's data. Now for just a simplicity to try it all out, let's do one more thing, and that's print the current date time, but for this we need to import date time.
first, and then we can use it to show the current time, and we can also write out the amount of currencies which were downloaded from Binance at the given moment in time. So amount of currencies is going to be the length of the data, but we first need to change it to string to match the data type which will be printed out. Alright, so here we are printing out the amount of all the currencies which were downloaded, and so far I am satisfied with that. So here we just need to import the DB file to be able to call the DB save all data, and here we will pass the data variable as an argument. Alright, I will save it, and what I will do next is I will use the start instruction to start it over. As you already have seen before, at the beginning of this little script we have the start method, and the start method is used to schedule an event every 3 seconds. So it will be repeating, and yeah, one more thing which is missing here is this repetitive event needs to be running forever, right? And that's why we will use the condition while true, which means forever. We will schedule the so-called run pending, and we will use the time to sleep for 1 second on every iteration. For this we will import time first, and then we will use it to go to sleep on this every iteration. Alright, so as it looks now, we will start the scheduler. It will be running the job every 3 seconds forever, and with every iteration it will be sleeping for 1 second. The job will execute a method called retrieve all Binance currencies, and that one will save all the data. But for now it will not really save the data. It will only present that it's all functional like this by writing out when it's downloaded how many currencies from Binance. Alright, that's it for the moment. Let's go start the cron Python. So if everything is working alright, it should be downloading the currencies every 3 seconds now, and that's what is happening. You can see it here. So here is 47, here is 50, 53, 57. It's downloading the currencies approximately every 3 seconds. Alright, I will stop it now. Now we still did not save the data anywhere. For this we will be working in the DB Python file, but before we do it we need to go to our MSSQL server, which we installed in the previous session. I will connect to mine. For this I am starting Microsoft SQL Server Management Studio, and using this Connect Object Explorer I'm connecting to my server. I have already several servers installed, but in the previous session I installed this one, localhost MSSQL Server 01, and I will use Windows authentication to connect to my server. I just did that, and here among the databases I have none yet, and that's why I will create a new database here now. For this, right click the databases, select new database, and here in the database name I will write all underscore currencies. So this is how my new database is going to be called now. By clicking this OK, I will now create a database all currencies. I did that, and you can see the new database appeared here. Now I will click through and I will get to tables, and now I want to create a new table which is going to be called tickers. Therefore I'm going to right click tables, I will say new table, and before I even name the table I can already define all the columns, their specific data types and properties. As the first thing I will create an ID of the data type unique identifier, and I will not allow nulls there. Now as the next thing I will create a symbol. For symbol we will use nvarchar 50. This means it will be nvarchar type of 50 characters max. Next one will be price. Price is going to be a little bit interesting. It's going to be decimal with 25 digits before the decimal point, and let's say 15 digits after the decimal point. Alright, and the next thing will be simply just date or date time, and that's also how the variable type is going to be called, and none of those will have nulls allowed. I will save it now, and now I'm prompted to choose the name, and the name is going to be tickers, and that's it. That's my database. I will do one more change, and the change will be in this ID here. This ID I will set as a primary key. I will control save, and that's it. I have ID, symbol, price and date time. If you will get an error telling you that you cannot save any change before the table gets recreated, then please go to tools, options, here under designers and table and database designers, unclick this prevent saving changes that require table recreation. So by coming here, unclicking this and saying OK, you can now make any changes to your table after you once saved it and no error comes. That's very important. Please keep this in mind. So we have a database, we have a table, we have all the columns, and what we need now is a user which will use the table. And this we will do by going to security, logins, and here under logins we will create a new login by right clicking it, and let's call it the like Python. Then let's select SQL Server authentication with a password, let's say 3 times 1. Alright, so enforce password policy is okay, and enforce password expiration. Alright, user must change password at next login. Let's take this away, and everything else is alright. Let's choose here all currencies, default database, and let's go through all other settings very quickly. So under server roles, we don't have to change anything. User mappings, all currencies. Our user will be a data reader, a data writer, DB owner. Under securables, there is nothing special. Status enabled and grant permissions to connect the database engine. Alright, looks good. Let's have him created. And now what we need to do is to right click our database server, go to properties, and here under security you need to allow SQL Server and Windows authentication mode. Without this it is not going to be possible, and you will only be able to connect through the Windows authentication, which we don't want when we connect through Python and the so-called Python ODBC driver. So, and now some of your configuration changes will not take effect until SQL Server is restarted. I will now close my connection and I will go to my SQL Server Configuration Manager. If you don't have it, you need to install it, but SQL Server Configuration Manager usually comes with a new installation of Microsoft SQL Server, and there under the so-called SQL Server Configuration Manager and SQL Server Services, you will find your server. That one you will right click and restart. So this will restart the server as such, and he will retrieve new settings once he starts again. Alright, that's done. Without this we would not be able to connect with our new Pi user. So I will do it now, and now here under authentication I will change the authentication to SQL Server authentication, and I will write 3 times 1. I will say connect, and inside of my SQL Server I got my database displayed with this one table that I created here. The table is now completely empty. So this would be the database part. And now how to connect to this database through Python. For this I will define several variables, and the first one will be the server. Server I will steal from here, right click, properties, and now I will copy the name, Ctrl C, I will come to Python and I'll paste it here. Now the second thing is the database. So here the same thing, I will come to my database, I will press F2, I will copy the database name and I will paste it to my Python code. Now username, that's going to be Pi, very easy. Password, that's going to be a string of 3 ones. And now connection string is going to be something a little bit more complicated. So first let's describe the driver. That's going to be the so-called ODBC driver 17 for SQL Server, and now server itself is going to be the variable server. Then database is going to be the variable database. Next thing, UID as user identification is going to be my username, and the PWD as password is going to be my password. And that's it. So these are the most important variables that you can see here. So you have a server, database, username and password, and connection string, which contains all of those. And now we are going to declare the so-called con variable, and we will use pyodbc, which we did not import yet. That's why we quickly do it. pyodbc. We will use the pyodbc to connect using the connection string, which we declared here. We will set a variable auto commit to true, and now we will set the cursor to connection cursor. Alright, and now we will go through all the data and we are going to iterate them. So I'll go for item in data, and we will say cursor execute, insert into the curse values, and those values will be for question marks, because it's going to be the ID, then symbol, then price, and then the current date time. Now here we will continue. What we insert as the first thing is going to be the UUID. For this we need to import the UUID, and we will use it the following way: UUID4. We will generate it and we will change it into a string. So that's how I do it. Now through the item variable we will approach the symbol variable. I will copy it from here, I'll paste it into my code, and then again through item we will approach the price variable. I will copy and paste it here, and here we are going to insert the current time, but first we need to declare it. Let's say now is going to be date time dot date time dot now. This will give us the current time. Alright, now it should be okay. That was a typo. So now when I have the current time in the now variable, I will copy the variable name, I will paste it here, and that's it. Now this should iterate all the data, and every item should be stored in the database. But first it needs to be committed. So I will say connection commit and then connection close, because it's good practice to not leave the connection open. Now I will save and let's go try it all out. Now cron Python is already doing all the job which is necessary, and it's calling the method save all data, and save all data should now be connecting through the ODBC driver to the SQL Server, and using these parameters it should connect to our database, and all the data should be iterated and committed to the database, and connection should be closed. Let's try it out. So now I will again say Python cron Python, and I hope everything will go right, and I think it goes, because currencies were downloaded. And let's go check the database now and execute this function one more time, and yes, here they are. These are all the data. So once again for you, if you didn't see it, I will close this now. I will go to DBO tickers, I will select the 1000 rows, and I simply see the first 1000. But the next thing I can do is to simply leave it running, and I can write a query. Let's say select count all from all currency stickers. That's my database. I will select it and I will say F5, and I have 35,500. And now I press F5, and each time I press F5 after I have selected the one query that I wrote, I will get an update, and that's it. That's how it works. This is how you can download all the currencies from Binance and save them into your MSSQL database. I will stop it now, and let's go have one more closer look to the database. So we are selecting all the currencies, and let's select only some of those. So let's select everything from all currencies, or let's say just stickers, where symbol is going to be BTC USDT, and now I should get only bitcoins. So this is how the price of Bitcoin was changing while I was downloading my data now. And of course, and one more thing I can do now is to order all the data by date time. I'll select it again, I'll press F5, and now the data is ordered by date time ascending. Therefore you can see here, this is the current hour, the current minute, and the current second. So 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 23, 27, 31. This is how the price of Bitcoin was changing through the time when I was downloading it. And this is how you can set up triggers, set up functionalities which are going to monitor the currencies which you are interested in. Of course, now I queried only Bitcoin, but I could have queried something else. Let's say Solana, right? This would be Solana USDT, or let's say Solana BNB. So this is how you can monitor truly many currencies from Binance at the same time. But what I would advise you to do is to set this scheduler to no less than 60 seconds, because otherwise it's quite possible that you will simply just get disconnected by Binance. At some point they will disconnect you, and the amount of disconnects will be the smaller the bigger number you have here. Alright, and that's it. That's how you can stream all the currencies from Binance and save them to your database. I will remove all the conditions now. I will only order data by date time. I'll select it one more time, and this is how my data looks selected now. So this is how you can get all the data downloaded from Binance and get them uploaded to your MSSQL database in order to have them nicely organized and to be able to select them really comfortably inside your Microsoft SQL Server Management Studio. As usually, I uploaded the entire project into my GitHub, where you can find it under this address, github.com tech divisions Python Binance stream all currencies into MSSQL DB. Feel free to download it and experiment as much as you can, because that's the best way to learn.
I hope you liked this video. If you found it a little bit too fast at some points, feel free to stop it for a moment or rewind back. I'm always cutting the videos to remove long pauses to get them short as possible, also for people who only search for quick information, because many of you come back and search for specific detail only. And if there is anything unclear, please don't hesitate and write me in the comments. Now, I want to tell you one thing. MSSQL Database and Management Studio, I've been using them for around 15 years now, and I can tell you, it's really cool to use them and really intuitive. Not so long ago, I was using them to help myself better to understand what features should my apps have. So first thing I did before the actual development was to design the database with all the relations there. Today, they would say, is the so-called database first approach. For those who don't know, this is when your database is not created from your code, but designed by you, the developer, fully manually, in the database. The opposite of that approach is the code first. It's cool to use the Management Studio for fast prototyping of databases of new apps, and until any of your apps really starts up and gets heavy loads. If you select the Express version of MSSQL Server, you can use it even in a production environment, because the Express version is for quite a long time already free, and I hope it stays this way. There is a hint though. You may not be able to use them in this combination everywhere. They are not completely cross-platform. To be more specific, the database server can be installed and run on Linux, but on Mac it can run only inside of a virtualized solution. A Docker container comes to mind. It would be the current most famous solution for this. And the MSSQL Management Studio can run only on Windows. But of course, there is a solution to everything, and to that as well. But about that in one of my next videos. This is all from me now. Thank you for watching. I hope to see you next time. Please like, comment, and if this is the first time you are watching one of my videos, don't forget to subscribe. See you soon.